The morning sun is shining by Olive Scgreiner. The morning sun is shining on the green, green willow tree and sends a golden sunbeam to dance upon my knee. The fountain bubbles merrily, the yellow locusts spring, of life and light and sunshine, the happy brown birds sing. The earth is clothed with beauty, the air is filled with song. The yellow thorn trees load the wind with odors sweet and strong. There is a hand I never touch, and a face I never see. Now, what is sunshine? What is song? Now, what is light to me? So, in the reading, you might have picked up that the first 12 lines are lyrical. They have a sing-song quality to it because of the rhyme, because of the syllables, because of the structure, and the way it's written on the page. It does lend itself to almost singing, okay? So song-like quality, that's what we call lyrical. But in the last 4 lines, I try to emphasize it and make it stand out that it's more jarring. And by jarring, what I mean is it's very halting. It doesn't have a natural flow. It doesn't have a lovely rhythm. And the reason for that is, yes, literally, they are talking about a morning sun and a beautiful morning and this lovely view and experience of the beauty of nature that the poet is experiencing. But what is actually happening is the poet is speaking about the death of her only child, who happened to be a daughter, and it wasn't after a couple of years or anything like that. She died and she wasn't even a day old. So within a day of giving birth, this child died. So in a sense, this son that the speaker is writing about is representing her child. And then at the end, in the last 4 lines, no sunshine, no song, no light, because the sun has died. It has permanently gone away. And that's why I'll bring that up in the last 4 lines when it says never, and that is repeated. So that comes into play there. But to start off from beginning to end, we've got merrily, which you can use cheerfully, you can use joyfully, has the idea of great happiness, great joy. And then you've got odors, which is a distinctive smell. In this context, it is sweet and strong. It is positive connotation. Yes, odor generally has a negative connotation, but because it's talking about the yellow thorn trees, it's talking about a wonderful smell, it's talking about it being sweet and strong, it is definitely positive. Then, there are a number of instances where words or concepts or ideas are repeated, and I'm going to go through those. So, firstly is green, green. Now, if in an exam or a test you say that repetition is for emphasis, you're not wrong. But you're only going to get a mark if you can correctly explain what is being emphasized. So the green, green willow tree, the repetition is emphasizing life, growth, and health. Then we've got golden, yellow, light, sunshine. That is emphasizing richness, beauty. In terms of golden, it's talking about having riches, having treasure, having wealth. Then there is never, never in line 13 and 14. Again, the word is repeated to show that there is a finality, to emphasize that this is the end forever. It's permanent. And then we've got the repetition of now and now in 15 and 16, because there is a sense of, how can I put it? Not urgency, but it's meant to have a strong impact. It is meant to have a very assertive, if not somewhat aggressive, um, tone or mood or atmosphere. Now, what is sunshine? What is song? Now, what is light to me? So you can definitely see that very bold, brash, almost aggressive tone, atmosphere in that repetition. The other repetition is in the second set of 4 lines of life and light and sunshine. So that repetition is to show an abundance. It's too much to contain. It is a very positive sense of being overwhelmed. There's just too much that is beautiful, just can't contain it. It's an abundance. Also, the idea with the green willow tree, the golden sunbeams, and merrily spring dance. All right, it's not enough to just look at it and enjoy it. You're actually moved to do something. You are moved into action. So sends us golden sunbeam. So the sun is sending a golden sunbeam to dance upon my knee. That is personification. So the idea that the sun is sending something and that sunbeam can dance, has legs to dance, that's personification, giving the human qualities to sunlight. Then we've got bubbles, which is onomatopoeia. We've got personification again in the earth is clothed with beauty, so the ability to wear clothing. Then we've got anaphora. So when a word or a phrase is repeated at the beginning of a line in poetry, that is called anaphora. Now, what is sunshine? What is song? Now, what is light to me? And then obviously line 15 and 16 is a rhetorical question. It's not answered, but after the whole entire context of the poem, the reader can sort of answer it for themselves. Again, in this context, the rhetorical question is there to make the reader think. Whoever is reading this poem, if it was being recited, the audience would have to sit and think about this. This comes at the end of the poem. It's quite poignant. It's meant to have a strong impact. It's meant to be quite powerful because Olive Schreiner's only child, who was a daughter, died not even being a day old. So very soon after birth, within that day of being born, she died, she passed away. So in a sense, the sun is representing the child that she had, and now there is no sunshine, no song, no light, because that person has ceased to be. The child no longer shines. So yes, lines 1 to 12 is this beautiful, vivid, colorful, full of life, growing, healthy description of a beautiful morning. We would call that idyllic. It's almost perfect. It's almost too good to be true. And then in the last 4 lines, it definitely changes because that child no longer exists. They are there no longer. And so everything has been tainted, everything has been darkened, everything has been soured. So this wonderful nature that she was enjoying, in a sense, because she had somebody to share it with, that is now gone. She doesn't have the child to share it with anymore. Every time she looks at the willow tree, every time she looks at the sunbeams, hears the birds sing, smells the sweet odor from the thorn trees, she is going to be reminded of the loss of her child. So that is, in a sense, the rhetorical question that the poet is asking. What is it now? What is the sunshine? What is song? What is light to me? That sense of hopelessness, that despair, that depression, being forlorn, nothing now means anything, it doesn't matter anymore. And that is part of her grief, her sorrow. So I've separated it into 4 parts. So the first 4 lines have to do with sight. Then the next 4 lines have to do with hearing. So hearing the fountain, hearing the locusts, hearing the birds sing. In the first 4 lines, you can see the morning sun, you can see the willow tree, you can see the golden sunbeam. Then the next 4 lines, so 9 to 12, is smell. So the yellow thorn trees loading the wind with odors sweet and strong. And again, if you've been anywhere in South Africa, or even if you've smelt a veld fire, it's got a very particular smell. It's not just like normal grass burning or anything like that. It is very, very particular. And it does, in a sense, have a sweet smell to it. So again, the yellow thorn trees is the context of the bushveld in South Africa. Olive Scgreiner did come from South Africa. She also wrote the novel South African Farm, yes. So there is that as well. So definitely this identity with South Africa and the smells that come from our vegetation in particular. And of course, the smell that you get from trees and bushes and flowers in Cape Town is not going to be the same as what you get in Durban. It's not going to be the same as what you get in the Karoo. So there's all these different smells. And very often the smell of something can make you remember something. It's very often tied to memory. The smell of frying vetkoek, the smell of, the burning veld, those kinds of things, the smell of the sea, etc. Then we've got personification. So the sun is sending a golden sunbeam to dance upon my knee. So there is personification, the human quality of the sunbeam being able to dance. You've got onomatopoeia in the fountain bubbles. So the flowing, the gurgling of the fountain, it bubbles merrily. Then we've got personification again in the earth is clothed with beauty. So again, the earth having the ability or having a body that can have clothing on it. And then there is anaphora in line 15 and 16, the repetition of now at the beginning of the lines. So that is anaphora. A refrain is when a whole line is repeated. So when a whole line is repeated, that is a refrain. But when it's only a word or a phrase repeated at the beginning of a line in poetry, that is anaphora. So yes, never, never in lines 13 and 14 is repeated, but it's not anaphora because it's not at the beginning of the lines. Okay. Now the tone in lines 1 to 12 is cheerful, joyful, exuberant. Again, please, tone in an exam needs to be in the form of an adjective. It is a cheerful tone. It is a joyful tone. It is an exuberant tone. And then in lines 13 to 16, it is a tone of despair. It is a tone of hopelessness. It is a forlorn tone. So, yes, there is a little bit of a change in the sentences that I'm using, but in every single one of those, the tone word has been used in an adjective form. And the same goes for when you're also answering tone and synonyms and antonyms in your literature paper, in your language paper, whatever form the word takes for synonyms and antonyms, your replacement or your opposite word must be the same form. So just keep that in mind. That's a little just extra thing on the side there. Then a number of things are repeated. So green is repeated for emphasis, but you only get a mark if you tell me what it's emphasizing. So green emphasizes life, growth, health. Then you get the mark. Then you've got a concept that is repeated: golden, yellow, light, and sunshine, the idea of wealth and riches and beauty and richness. Again, the golden, the yellow, the light, the sunshine. Things that are golden color tends to be gold, money, riches, okay, precious metals, precious minerals, metals, yes. Then you've got never, never, and that is repeated because it's final. The death is final. That's the end. The person isn't coming back. So there is a sense of finality about it. I never touch. I never see. All right, the person is gone. And then now is repeated just to emphasize the significance of the loss. So the hurt, the grief, the sorrow that is felt here. Now, what is sunshine? What is song? Now, what is light to me? It almost comes across as aggressive, very brash, very in your face. So if you do want to say that the now being repeated makes it seem aggressive, because how can the person enjoy nature, enjoy the beauty of nature when they've lost their only child, when they've had to bury their only child, when this person is dead and gone? So there is a sense of the anger that comes with grief. Okay, that's definitely applicable. And then the other one that's repeated is and light and sunshine. So that is emphasizing the abundance. There's too much to contain. It's a positive connotation of being overwhelmed. There's just too much happiness, too much that is wonderful, too much beauty of life and light and sunshine. So that's what the repetition there is doing. So themes: happiness is real when shared. So in a real sense, things seem to be more wonderful when you can share them with someone. And the flip side of that is that when that person's no longer there, the things don't really seem to be as wonderful as they once were. And there is definitely a sense of that in this poem, because especially in the rhetorical question in lines 15 and 16, the poet is saying, what is the point of all of these? These don't have any meaning for me now. The person that I shared this with or wanted to share this with is no longer here. So what is sunshine? What is song? What is light? There's no point to it now. And the other theme is that this is a poem about nature. It's a nature poem. So, this idyllic view of a beautiful morning, wonderful nature, the beauty, the abundance, the health, the life, the growth. So there is that aspect as well. The tone, I'm just going to go through again, although I did mention it. Lines 1 to 12, it's joyful, it's cheerful, it's exuberant. Lines 13 to 16, despair, hopelessness, forlorn. If you want to use depression or depressed, then you're going to have to answer it like it is a tone of depression. That's pretty much where you're going to have to leave it. You don't really want to say a depressed tone, although it technically would be correct. And that is the morning sun is shining.